Hi everybody, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking a little bit about some modifications for using the Read, Pray, Move program when you're managing a chronic disease. So by chronic disease, I mean an autoimmune disorder, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, fibromyalgia, migraines, anything that you're managing on a long-term basis. So first I just want to say that I'm so glad that you're here, because by being here and by committing to doing this program in any way, you're taking that first step toward meeting God where He wants to meet you, which is a path toward the future He has for you filled with hope. So you're doing a great thing. It's awesome that you're here, and I'm so glad that you're here. So this process has been a long journey for me. 9 months ago, I was barely able to get out of bed. I was sleeping like 16 hours a day. There's no way in the world that I would have been able to do 30 minutes at all, like 30 minutes total a week of exercise. So if that's you, if you're where I was now, I just really applaud you, and I just encourage you to keep on going and keep taking small steps each day. So there are really only 3 of our 8 daily habits that you need to modify for a chronic disease. The 3 that you need to modify are move, your food intake, and your detox. The last one with the detox baths. So I'll take each one of those individually, and we'll talk for a couple minutes about what each one of those mean on this program and when you have a chronic disease. So first of all, move. If you're very recent in your diagnosis, or if you've recently had any kind of surgery, it's really important that you go talk to your specialist about exercise before you get started. In my experience, most specialists will tell you, a little bit about what you can do physically after a surgery, or when you're really new into the diagnosis process. So if you've already had that conversation, you don't need to go back. You already know what they're going to tell you. But if you haven't had that conversation, or if you're unclear, call your doctor, set up an appointment, or even just see if you can do a nursing appointment over the phone and make sure that you're getting the information about what you can and can't do physically. Your doctor is going to know you best because they've seen all your blood work, they've maybe done the surgery, they know the surgical process, they understand what your body needs to do to heal from your specific situation. So it's really important to find a partner in this process. Now, that said, if you're 5 years past a heart attack and you're just seeing your primary care physician for follow-up, then you kind of know where you're at. If you haven't had a physical in a year, definitely go in and get it, which I think is great for anybody, whether you have a chronic disease or not, just to know where you're at. And this is standard advice for anybody, not just for people like us with chronic diseases. But you just want to know where you're at, and you want to be smart about it. You don't want this to be a situation where you're going to be shocking your body by putting it through another stress, because losing weight and detoxing are stressful on your body. So we just have to make sure that we're managing that appropriately so we don't cause our diseases to flare or our old problems to come back. So that's the first part. Get checked before you start moving in any different ways than you're already doing. The second thing is get clear on where your head is at. Because I know for me, when I was struggling with getting back into exercise about probably 5 months ago, I was cleared to start exercising again. I had a really hard time because I was afraid. So I thought that I could only handle about 5 minutes a day, twice a day for a while, a lot longer than I needed to. And it wasn't that I couldn't do it. At one point, I actually couldn't do it. But as I got better, it was just that I didn't want to because I was afraid to try. So that's the second part of the move modification. Get really clear through writing exercises, through talking to your RPM buddy, through talking to a physician. If you need to, you can email me at readpraymove@gmail.com and just really understand like where you're at emotionally and mentally as far as exercise is concerned, because you may have to do some breaking through on that. So after you've talked to your doctor and after you're clear on where your head is, the third thing you want to do is just start where you're at. So just because the plan calls for 30 minutes of exercise 6 days a week may not mean that you can do it. You may only be able to do 30 seconds a day, maybe twice a day. And if that's you, then you do those 30 seconds twice a day joyfully and with happiness and gladness for the fact that you're here, that God put breath in your lungs this morning, and that you're able to do that much. You may hear in the media that a lot of people are pressing CrossFit or mud races or whatever, and you guys know I'm doing that one coming up in May of 2015. But it's not really about that. It's not about pushing 125% all the time, especially not when you have a chronic disease. When you have a chronic disease, the important thing is that you work with your body and that you listen to it. So you're going to know as you're feeling better how much you can increase and when it's going to come. But again, you got to make sure your mind is straight. Okay? So if you've been doing 30 seconds twice a day for 3 weeks, it's time to step it up a notch and go from 30 seconds twice a day to a minute twice a day. And you're going to know. You just have to watch yourself and really pray through it. Make sure you're journaling in your tracking pages and writing down how you're feeling and the connection you're seeing between exercising and how you feel emotionally and mentally and spiritually. It's all connected, so you just have to pay attention to what's going on. So then you just want to keep stepping it up a little bit more every day, just asking maybe 25%, 30% more effort from your body every day until you get to that point where you can join us in the full 30 days. 30 minutes, 6 days a week. And it's also vitally important that you pay attention to that 7th day of rest. When you have a chronic disease, it's because your body has been stressed. No disease happens in your body without some kind of a stress as an adult. Kids are a little bit different, so I'm talking about adult diseases here. So you're not maybe getting enough rest. I know for me, before I had my cancer experience, I was working 7 days a week. I was living in Chicago. I would go to the office at 5 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I wouldn't leave until 11. I would meet my friends out at 11 p.m., if you can imagine, and I would stay out and close, restaurants and bars down at 2 o'clock, go home, sleep for 3 hours, and then go back and do it the next day, which is crazy. Like, there's no wonder, really, that I ended up with health problems because that kind of a lifestyle is unsustainable. And I know we have a lot of busy working moms, busy working women, busy everybody. Everybody's busy these days. It doesn't matter if you're working in the home or out of the home. It's really important, if you have a chronic disease, to take that 7th day of rest, unplug, unwind, relax your body, relax your mind. God put it in the Bible for a reason. It's been critical in helping me work through my chronic disease issues, and I know it's going to be important for you too. So when you start feeling better, resist the urge to just exercise all the time, 7 days a week. Keep it smart. Take that rest. The other thing that you want to do, as far as our 8 daily habits are concerned, you want to modify how you're doing your eating. So the 6 study days of each week are designed to be pretty full-on detox days. So you're taking out all the bad foods, putting in a bunch of good foods, which is going to allow your body to release a bunch of toxins. Which, if you're healthy without chronic disease problems, that's a great process. It's going to be awesome to get that stuff cleaned out of all of our bodies. But when we have chronic diseases, we have to be a little bit smarter about it because that is a shock to the body. And if your body is still trying to heal, we want all the focus to be on the healing process, not the detoxification process. So we're going to work through the detoxing and the eating plan a little bit slower. So if you have any kind of chronic disease, this includes PCOS too, by the way, or fibro or migraines or whatever, you're going to take one thing at a time and focus on detoxing out of that one thing. I recommend you start with dairy and sugar. So for the first 2 weeks of our time together through this journey, the first 14 days of the 40-day plan, pick one. Let's just say sugar, for example. So for those first 2 weeks, you've only cut out sugar. You're still eating whatever dairy you were before. You're still eating, whatever gluten-y bread you were before. You're only focusing on sugar for the first 2 weeks. For the second 2 weeks, then you want to go take out the dairy. So you're going to leave the sugar out, and you're also going to take the dairy. So then after you take the dairy, then you can take gluten or whatever. So you're taking all the things out one at a time. Now, the only exception to that is caffeine. So don't take that to mean that you can still be eating chocolate in moderation every day, because moderation actually is not the key here. What we're trying to do is get it all out of our diet. And I'm sure you guys can see my dog's tail wagging in the camera. He's sitting right here next to me. He's a good boy. By the way, in case you didn't know, science is showing that for people with chronic diseases, having a pet actually helps them heal faster. So the last thing we want to focus on is the detox baths. So for the detox baths, those baths are really good at like pulling all of the toxins and things out through your skin, which is great for the detoxification process. So you can definitely do those without any problems. You just want to make sure that you start maybe with half the recipe. So instead of doing 2 cups of the Epsom salt, start with 1 and then a quarter cup of the baking soda instead of 2, and about half the amount of the lavender essential oil, and just see how it goes with your body. So check in with yourself before, see how you're feeling the next morning if you take it at night, and just kind of go with how you're feeling. So if it doesn't feel great to you, then just even back off further off the recipe amounts or skip it. Or just take a bath with your favorite bubble bath. Those are my kids, by the way, in case you can hear them. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. So this is the reality of my life, and I don't try to change it at all or edit it out. I think it's important that we're real with each other. So anyways, so that's the detox bath. Just take it slow, see how it goes, see how it feels. Again, you want to make sure that you're not doing too much detox at one time while you're working through this process with a chronic disease. So if you have any questions at all, just give me an email, readpraymove@gmail.com. I'm available to help, and I will do my best to make sure that you enjoy this journey as much as possible and get as far along as you possibly can. Talk to you later.